Hello Capricorn, welcome to your August forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's great to see everybody. A quick reminder before we get into this reading, you can always use it for sun, rising, and moon. Before we get into channeled messages, I just want to say thanks for your patience. As many of you know, I'm in the process of moving. I should be moved in by the end of this weekend. So thank you for giving me a couple extra days to get all of these readings out there. So this month, as I was tuning into your sign, there were a couple of images that came through in meditation. The first one is actually pretty auspicious. I saw a rubber band, and this represents the ability to stretch, to go a little bit further than you think. For some of you, you might be stretching your finances. For the rest of you, there could be situations where you think, I don't know if I have enough time. I don't know if I can push myself to get this done, but you absolutely can. There's a flip side to that coin, and that is that there might be something else that you have to say no to. So it's all about choices this month and limits. So knowing where to stretch, knowing where to basically pump the brakes and say, not now. And if you do this, I feel like you can absolutely achieve everything that you need to. This can also represent an inequity or some sort of imbalance that's happening in a relationship or a job where perhaps you're doing the work of 2 or 3 people. In this instance, one of the important things here, especially with boundaries, isn't just saying no, but pushing back and possibly even delegating. Say, I really need you to take care of this. Or just setting realistic expectations so that there are no surprises later, okay? The second thing that came through in meditation was a beautiful image of someone lighting an old-fashioned lamp, the kind that you would see actually in the hermit's lantern. And to me, this represents knowledge, illumination, just like the title, and it's about the sort of stepping out of the hermit phase and into the star phase, which is why I featured both of these cards. This month, you have something that you can share with people, a hidden skill, an insight, maybe even, a solution that you've been sitting on, and it kind of boils down to this coming out of your shell energy, and if you're ready to do that. Don't let anybody in your life kind of give you this self-doubt. I don't want you to dim your light, just like I put in that final bullet. I really feel like you're being poised for leadership. And these 2 images are so important. So the rubber band shows that there are places you can stretch. You might even be able to go further than your own expectations, but you're going to have to make smart choices along the way. And doing so is going to give you the energy and in turn, maybe even the internal confidence, because you have more time to prepare to step into that spotlight, okay? Some of you may also be deciding to learn something new, to get some training, some education, some support, to do some research. All of that is backed up with this image as well, okay? Now let's take a look at the cards and see what additional messages are coming through for the next 6 weeks. Let's get started. Close your eyes, please, and tune in here, letting go of any sort of preconceived notions that you might be holding on to. As you're breathing, let's call in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters with the intention of connecting to the highest good. All right, let's get started here. I have a card here that volunteered. And let's see, one more. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm selecting the deck for this. Got another volunteer on this one. Actually, I had 2 cards that popped up on this as well. Okay, lots of pairs came through. So this should be a pretty interesting reading. Let's begin first and foremost with the catalyst energy for you. You received third eye activation coming through here. It says brow chakra, inner vision, and clear seeing. And the catalyst helps you make the necessary change and movement. So it's time to meditate. It's time to slow down and really allow yourself to believe that there's a solution and then see that because you're open to it. When you say something like, oh, there's no way out, or this just isn't working, or I can't figure this out, you almost like create a block before you're able to see beyond it. And that's the main takeaway that I'm getting as I look at this. Focusing on meditation, of course, can help you connect to your own higher self, to your spirit guides. Setting intentions before you go to bed, that's one of the ways that I receive information, but I can also do it simply by closing my eyes and seeing what comes through. If you have any sort of artistic talents, whether it's music, poetry, illustration, anything of that nature, just allowing yourself to go with the intuitive flow is a great way to connect with that. See what spirit brings through. Even if you don't consider yourself skilled, you don't necessarily need to make something artistic. You just need to scribble something down. I know a lot of mediums that when you're talking to them, they'll simply draw some crude drawing, but it's like, I don't know, what does this mean to you? You just need to be able to convey it. Spirit's going to work the same way with you. And think about what I saw in my own meditation. It was pretty simple. A rubber band showing that you needed to focus on flexibility, or a lighting of a lantern, which was really kind of, to me, this moment where you could brighten your shine to step into the light. So it doesn't have to be something complex. Just like the symbols on the cards, you can actually create your own connection to spirit through scribbling in a book and seeing how it connects to your day or to what you need to focus on. So a little bit about intuitive development there. Okay, let's take a quick look at all of the cards here, and then we'll get into a card-by-card analysis. So one of the challenges in this moment could be how much is going on here. So we have like 10 of Cups and 10 of Wands. So some of you are really progressing in relationships. Some of you might be finishing something important in your life. There's some tricky stuff going on in the environment, which we'll talk about in a second, but most of the energy is good. Like this is you being able to sort of graduate or master something, and then we see new opportunities knocking, particularly with relationships. We see you stepping into the light, as I saw here, and then there's just some internal fears and maybe some stuff in the environment that could be testing you. But again, let's take it card by card, starting with the center card, 3 of Pentacles. There are 2 different ways that you can look at a task in front of you. You can look at how difficult it's going to be to finish it, and then you can let that sort of build up and feel like it's heavy. Or you can think about how great it's going to be at the very top of the mountaintop. As someone who enjoys hiking, I try to focus on the joy that I will have when I'm at the top of the hill. And what I do as I'm taking the journey is I look at what's around me, I tune into my body, sometimes I look at how far I've come. Very rarely do I keep tuning into how much time or how much distance it's going to take to get to the top. It's just worth the view, and I trust that. What happens sometimes if you focus so much on the burden of getting up there is you start to connect with this energy, which we see representing you. It's a little easier to see the Rider-Waite-Smith version, which is, oh my gosh, this is going to be a lot. At the end of the day, I always interpret 3 of Pentacles as a very positive card. The reversal of it, as we said, is focusing on why you're doing something, not giving in to fear, which we're going to talk about in a second. Also, not worrying if you're not getting the validation, the immediate sort of feedback, just continuing to put in all that hard work because it will pay off. Let's talk a little bit about what's crossing this. So we have a very unique illustration here for the 9 of Swords. It basically is taking the nightmare energy that's sometimes a part of this card and showing the illustration of that. I'd like to zoom out a little bit and just say, typically 9 of Swords is not as bad as it seems. What we do sometimes is we build something up to be more difficult than it has to be. And this is a lot of times, if you have ever had to say something difficult to someone, like whether it's like quitting a job, or if there's an important conversation where you need to convey an emotion, something that's bothering you, 9 times out of 10, no pun intended because we're looking at the 9 of Swords, but usually the person has an inkling of what you need to say. Sometimes they help you along when you go through it. Usually it's not that bad. 9 of Swords is also a nod to taking better care of yourself, not pushing yourself to exhaustion, Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure that the quality and quantity are there. If there's any stress management that you need assistance with, reach out to someone. Talk to a counselor, to a doctor, to a friend, whomever you need. This is a time to really do that because you got better things to focus on. But we all get triggered from time to time, and we all need tools. So get those tools that you need. You're doing the work, and you're doing a great job. In the deep past here, we have one of the best leadership cards possible here, the Emperor. And I love that this one is firmly connected to the ground. Very grounded energy, the ability to reach great new heights here. And the only sort of thing that I can see here with the Emperor that might be cautionary is how rigid it is. So it's very stuck in one place. And so remembering what we talked about at the very beginning, I'll pull it up for just a second. I said that flexibility was going to be a part of your growth trajectory here. So a good tree can bend a little bit in the wind. So just like that, you might have to bend more than you're used to. But you may even need to go a little bit more beyond what this card has indicated that you've done in the past. So really work on allowing yourself to believe that it's possible, because the rigidity could actually also be in a traditional mindset or a traditional approach. So mix it up a little bit, okay? If you're wondering about experience, or again, if this could be dealing with imposter syndrome, you deserve all the good stuff that I see in this spread. So don't second guess yourself, okay? In the recent past, you have two of the best cards you could possibly get here, the 10 of Cups and the 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands showing that whatever dream, whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, you're so close to it, it's right on the shore. Typically there are ships coming in here, and it's saying, don't lose sight of what you're working on. Here's what could be distracting you. People in your life that you love and respect. Your closest friends, your family, anyone that's around you, including coworkers. That sort of tension that we see in all of those cups. That's what I was seeing with the rubber bands, I think, in my visualization earlier. So what you want to do here is remember this. This is how Spirit's breaking it down. You're living your life for you. If you are trying to vicariously fulfill your mom, your dad's, your boss's sort of like goals for you, but they're not aligned with you, it's time to kind of dig your heels in and say, that's not what I signed up for. And remind them, however it's going to be best conveyed by you, that this is your life, this is your choice, this is your vision. And then spell it out. Talk about what it is that you do want. We can speak things into existence here. And if you can see it, other people have a really good chance of seeing it as well, okay? I do get for many of you that this is just people that mean the best and want the best for you, but you also know best what you need in your own life. And this is a chance to really establish that sort of sense of independence and authority, okay? You are so close to the finish line. When we take a look at the crowning position here, we have 9 of Wands energy. And if we contrast it with the center card, this is the cup being half empty. This is the cup being half full. This is the reality. And if you can wrap your head around this reality, it can happen faster. 3 of Wands has with it a sort of instantaneous manifestation energy. So your ability to see it and do it kind of happen in tandem, and it's like a chicken and the egg sort of thing. So if you can see the glasses being half full and push to the finish line, things are just going to naturally happen faster. You're closer to the mountaintop than you think. A couple of things that I want to mention here. If we look at the traditional card, it is a card that represents perseverance, sometimes tireless dedication, but it can be at the expense of your health. So if you zoom in really close here, you can see the person has a bandage around their forehead. This can sometimes just be the headache that you get from other people's stress or complaints. So you just might be carrying a heavy load. After all, you were represented by the 10 of Wands, and the 10 of Wands kind of has that burdensome energy. You don't have to do all of this on your own. You don't have to take more than you want or need to, okay? And again, that could be the cause of some of the stress. So I said earlier, like with the 2 of Pentacles thing that I saw with the rubber band, what you want to do is decide what to focus on and what isn't worth it. If it's not worth it, say no, push back, put that line in the sand. It's going to be really, really important. From a health perspective, sometimes there can be migraines, headaches, or just persistent thoughts that bother you. If it's any of this, actually talking to a therapist or a doctor can help, talking to a friend, and taking care of yourself. That's the main thing. It's not a matter of if you can complete whatever it is that you want to complete. It's whether you want to and when you're going to. I have no doubt in your capacity and your capability to do it, but emotions could block you, and that's something that you can focus on alleviating. One of the ways to do that is through what we see here, King of Swords in reverse. Just really speak up and speak to the point. Yes and no. They are both words, but they're also complete sentences. If someone asks you, do you want to do it? No. No, I don't. Short, sweet, and clear. Yes, I do. Very affirmative, very clear. We don't need to give any sort of obscure or obtuse answers. Get to the point and ask direct questions too. If someone here in your friend or family circle is pushing you to do that, you can say, why is this so important to you? I'm happy. What's going on with you that you feel like I need to do this? Just ask the tough question if you need to. It will probably put them in a place where they're not expecting it, and they may just back down a little bit, okay? The other thing here is you can ask an insightful question too. Say, I'm really curious. That's an amazing insight. How did you come up with that? Would you mind if I join you on this? Because I'd love to learn more. So you can also speak into existence something that you need. You can clarify something you don't understand. You can revise something that doesn't meet your expectations. If it's imbalanced, if it's unjust, this is a time to circle it and say, we need to change that, and then I'm ready to move forward, okay? This is an infinitely wise owl here, and it's reminding you of your wisdom. Don't second guess it, and really, if it doesn't feel good from the beginning, it's probably never going to feel right. So trust the initial instinct. As we take a look at the card that represents you, it's a really unusual version of the Ten of Wands. So let's focus on this first. Sometimes when you're in the middle of doing something, it's hard to see past the present situation. And I've never really gone too deep into why the artist might have interpreted Ten of Wands this way. But what I can get in this moment in time is it's important to go back to the big picture. And sometimes we only see the sort of end point. I need to go to college to get this degree. Well, what comes after that? Well, I really need to focus on finding the love of my life and starting a family. Okay, that's step one. Then what are you doing next? Or I want to go ahead and launch this thing in the business, but then what's the next step? So what this is encouraging you to do is to have a wider lens through which and with which you are experiencing and viewing the world, and thinking on, when it comes to goals, we think of present goals, like lifetime goals, planetary goals. So for yourself, there may be certain challenges that you want to work through, but you may also want to make a lasting impact for your children, your grandchildren, your friends, the next generation, whether or not you have children. I don't have kids, but I want to leave this planet a better place than I entered into it, because guess what? I do subscribe to reincarnation, so I'm going to have to come back anyway. I think if more of us realize that the soul continues to come back to this place, we'd be better at recycling. We'd be better at treating each other with kindness, because you never know which role you're going to play in another lifetime. So you might as well just treat everyone like they are an equal energy with an equal opportunity to thrive. So widen the view. And when you start to think in the term of like a soul's existence beyond this one sort of, swim lane, it opens up so much, right? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing here. I got bored with corporate stuff and I needed to make a bigger impact, connect with more people, leave the planet a better place than it was when I came in. These are some of my secondary and tertiary goals, in addition to raising consciousness, because we need more kindness, we need more education, we need more camaraderie. So that's part of my goals. What are your goals? They're going to be different. Figure them out. It took me a long time. It took me a few decades. So don't worry if you don't know it right now. Keep asking questions, read books, look at stuff online, listen to podcasts, talk to people. You'll figure it out. But the main thing here is it looks a little murky in this Ten of Wands. And I think it's focusing so much on the task or goal at hand that you might be missing a bigger picture. And there could be something that wants to open up, a new doorway. Something bigger could come through than what you were expecting. So even though I oftentimes look at Eight of Swords, which I think is coming through here in a few moments, as the prison of thought, sometimes even this in this Ten of Wands, because you're so busy on trying to accomplish, that's what's bleeding into what's happening in the environment. And this was another one of the areas where there were two cards. We have a beautifully illustrated Eight of Swords, and then we have a Five of Wands, and the two cards are reversed. So when the Eight of Swords is reversed, it's basically showing the blindfolds coming off. Here's your traditional Eight of Swords. This is what it normally looks like. That's the prison of thought. This artist took an unusual, and I think it's even a better approach towards this. So we have a butterfly that's still in the chrysalis form, so not quite ready to spread its wings. It needs to break through. And so this tells me that you're ready. It's simply a matter of looking around a little bit. I feel like something is within reach. And some of you are frustrated. So we have the Five of Wands, which can show diminishing returns when it comes to work. Sometimes because there's too much competition, a lack of leadership, a lack of motivation, just because things aren't coming together. Scattered resources too. These wands are just thrown out on the ground. They're not really kind of organized. So I think by stepping back, you might be able to see a pattern or see a road that opens up to you. And then this is just about spreading your wings. So this artist chose to show that you are not trapped at all. You're just maybe at that breakthrough moment where once you push, once you take that last step or that first step, things start to happen lickety-split like that. In fact, we have this gigantic, almost like sun birthing moment here coming through in hopes, fears, and opportunities. I don't like the way that this one is illustrated. It doesn't matter which direction the sun is in. There really is no reversal on it. And we see all these beautiful doves coming out in every direction. So the sun in reverse is saying it's overdue, basically just like a child that's a couple of days or a couple of weeks overdue. It's time to release. It's time to hit the ignition. It's time to do it. Decision time right now. Are you ready? If you are, great things await you. It's time to spread your wings. Maybe that's the title for this. It really is time to spread your wings and give yourself permission to do whatever it is that you want to do. Your parents may not have given it to you. Your teachers may not have shown you the way. And maybe you're having a hard time allowing yourself to do something. But the cards are showing that this is a breakout and a breakthrough moment for you. And finally, oh my gosh, this is nicely connected. Let's go back, first of all, to what I was talking about in the channeled messages, and then I'll just bring this up to the camera while I get that ready. So we have the Seven of Wands here, and this is kind of like a parting of the ways. So your ability to put something out there is going to, if there's anybody that's kind of challenging you, I feel like they're just going to fall away because you're setting up a really good case here. So the Hermit's about research. The Star is something that you can't unsee. It's like really brilliant. Like we're talking about your brilliance here and your illumination. So if you can shine the light, which is what this Seven of Wands is about, you can push back any sort of naysayers. The traditional Seven of Wands would show someone in a defensive stance or a pushing stance. It's one of the best cards for self-defense. So for those of you that might have to defend a thesis, defend an idea, or simply push back on, again, friends and family members that are saying, are you sure, or why are you doing that? You just have to say, yes, I'm sure, and this is why. So stand up for yourself. Know what the good fight is, and if you want to fight that fight, you have a chance of winning. This is a very auspicious card to have in the outcome. And your words are very powerful. They cut through the nonsense. They show your brilliance, and people will fall away from that that troublesome stance that they might have taken before. They're going to listen to you this time around, and that's exciting, okay? Many of you may also be focusing a little bit more on taking care of your physical well-being. Particularly, you might be doing some weight training or strength building. Take care of yourself. Don't push too far. Sometimes this can lead to like a pulled muscle or something of that nature. Let's go ahead, before we go too deep into that particular rabbit hole, let's look at the extended forecast. We're going to focus on health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll get started with your health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. So in health, we have the Shaolin master coming through saying, be graceful in movement and action. Hello. I love it when things are sort of a perfect synchronicity. Don't force it. It should feel just right. This is true in a relationship. It's true with exercise, with your diet. There should be this beautiful grace and balance. And if it doesn't exist, then it throws you out of balance. So with this card in reverse, you're not listening to your intuition. You might be pushing too far, too fast. So like if you've gone from this state of extreme inaction and you're trying to like run a marathon, you know it's not going to work, right? And if you try to change your diet overnight, it's not going to stick. So slower, steadier, more measured, and more attuned to what your body is right now, where it's at, not what the picture is on the magazine or what the expectation is in your mind. Meet yourself where you're at. That's the main takeaway there. And it's easier said than done. All of us tend to be a little bit harder on ourselves and a little impatient. This is definitely bringing to me like Seven of Pentacles energy, where we want it to just change, grow, or move overnight. Okay, let's look at all the cards here and see if there's some additional messages that want to come forth with respect to your general health and well-being. Well, first of all, some of you may be experiencing this third eye activation, starting to open up, see new things. When intuitive development begins, it's okay at the beginning to feel a little overwhelmed. I may do another sort of like story time, or maybe even a longer chat with some of you if you're interested in it, and talk more about my initial feelings when I was kind of waking up intuitively. Sometimes you think, is this real, or how am I going to deal with it? Or there may be fear. There's anything that could happen there. So many different things that you could be feeling. So I'm just normalizing that if you're starting to open up intuitively, meditation's good, yoga's great, exercise is great, and then meditation groups are great. So all of those things could help you out. Other things that I'm picking up on. I do think that you might be pushing yourself too hard and too quickly. Seven of Wands, like I said, can be pulling a muscle. This can actually be focused on a disc in your back. So take it easy. Don't overdo it, specifically with those of you that are doing weightlifting. Everything in moderation. 10 of Cups can sometimes be a little bit overdoing it when we're looking at particularly food and drink. So know your limits. I feel like you can absolutely get to a good space on this. I mentioned headaches, pressure headaches, and migraines. If it's stress related, obviously you know where the source is, but if it's more than that, work with a doctor. Sleep quality and quantity coming through. Throat chakra activation. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and I think in a large part it's because of all the change and growth. So slow down and really focus each day on tuning into your body. A good exercise, a good way to start the day is to close your eyes, take 2 or 3 deep breaths, and scan each of the 7 energy points, major points, and see how you feel. And then just kind of pull light into those points. And you can balance it out yourself just by breathing and being present. Some of you are giving birth this month, and some of you may just be dealing with solar plexus issues. Could be because either that's an area of weakness, or again, power struggles this month too. So strengthening the core will help you meet that challenge and thrive. Okay, I think that's everything here with respect to health. Fairly manageable overall. Let's move on to your wealth card. We have Rhiannon coming through on this. I think we all think of the Stevie Nicks song now when we see this, but Rhiannon is coming through with this message around self-trust. So trust your instinct, trust yourself, particularly when we're looking at money, resources, and work. You know better than anyone else, okay? There may be people in your life, like I said, that try to pressure you. We don't want to take the bait here. And sometimes it's the closest friends or family members that can convince us to do something that we just know we shouldn't, okay? So that's all I have to say on that. And if you trust yourself, the sky is the limit. Let's dig a little deeper. We'll look at 3 major categories. Those that are working, those that are seeking employment, and then students and retirees. If you're working, I think you're doing a great job, actually. One of the opportunities for you, again, is just to show your brilliance, show your light, to spread your wings a little bit here. And I think for some of you to speak to your accomplishments, meaning that if you have meetings with your boss regularly, make sure that you're talking about the hard work that you've done, how you've been aligning to their goals and visions, and why they should be considering you for a raise or for the next thing. You don't want to do this at every meeting, but it needs to be thrown out at some point over the course of this month so that you have a chance to get it on record, or at least in the next few months here, because it's all presenting here in front of me. If you've already said it, good. This is just validation that you have to speak things sometimes into existence. We shouldn't expect people to have to pull cards or read tea leaves when it comes to business, because business people aren't always doing that. So get it in writing, get it out there on the table so that people know. I think your hard work is commendable. I think you're a great leader. I think that many of you are sort of like pulled in too many directions. So having better limits, taking better care of yourself, that's going to help you come out of this shell. And so sleep, exercise, and diet have to be in alignment. We just talked about health, but it's connecting and bubbling in here when we're looking at wealth. So don't neglect that. I think that if you're looking to climb the ladder or to create this moment where there's a breakthrough, absolutely. You know what we're not seeing a lot of? We have a little bit at the center, but I'd love to see more pentacles, like an ace of pentacles, a king of pentacles, etc. So if you're not seeing the money, or if you have questions about it, ask. The things to avoid, like I said here, for some of you, there may be a desire to just ignore something, or you may have flown under the radar. We don't want you to do either of those two things now. Speak up if you see something that you don't understand or agree with, and make sure that you're also speaking up when you have a great idea, because one of those ideas is going to land, and that's going to set you apart, and that's where you can shine in the long run. Okay, you're overdue. Many of you are overdue for that moment in the sun. For those of you that are looking for work, can you find it? Yeah, I see at least one good opportunity here, but you have to be not pushy, but really vocal. And if you can land the interview, this is a day where you really want to be on your game and able to just sort of answer directly. I think one of the best pieces of advice I have when it comes to your resume, your interview, and even like your online sort of presentation of your skills, really, really edit it. Less is more. And I remember back in the day, I used to be a hiring manager at a couple of the companies that I worked at. I didn't need to see a bunch of stuff that wasn't relevant to the job position. I didn't want to see things that were too junior for the role. I wanted to just see strong, and I used to, I would work with visual artists. So when it came to a portfolio, I just wanted to see it edited down with a cohesive vision and something that really made sense. So be smart about what you're putting in all of this sort of, like nowadays you don't even really send a resume, you just keep pasting in boxes. So make sure you're not repeating yourself, less is more. And then if you do have a link to any sort of portfolio site, catch them with the first couple of things. Attention spans are so short. So that's the main thing that I get here, is less is more, and really get to the point. Lead with whatever the sort of hook is right away. Networking, I mean, I feel like this is always the case here, but it's really coming through here. The people you know can open up an opportunity like that and can get you sort of a shortcut into seeing someone or talking to someone. I love the Sun card here. I do believe that your charisma could also be the thing that, it's either who you know or just the vibe that people get when they finally have a chance to talk to you. And there was that special sauce. I remember that as well. You could have 2 or 3 people that had very even qualifications, but one person had a better attitude, a better charisma. You could tell that they were going to go even further because they wanted it, and they just had that, everything came together. I think you can do that, but don't sell yourself too hard. Don't sell yourself short. Just right. We want to get that sort of Goldilocks version of you. So take a deep breath and think, if it's meant to be, it will be. If it isn't, it's not going to happen. And take the stress out. Just be yourself. All right. But I actually feel like this is a great month to get it. Don't get in your headspace too much. And as long as you do that, you'll be all right. 90% of what you're looking for might be in this job. We're seeing like one thing isn't there. It could be the title's just slightly different. The compensation's maybe 10% less than you want. The location is maybe a little bit more distance than you were willing to go, because this can be a traveling card. But it seems pretty good. It feels like it's a good stretch. So I think you can make this work. The only thing that I would look at is leadership. One thing that I'm looking at in the environment here is they may not recognize talent as much or foster the talent sort of growth as much as you might want. So talk to people that already work there. Moving on to those that are students. This is the card of college or learning or education or growth, and I love that. But I do think that the focus here is on how tall the climb or how steep the climb is rather than why you're doing it. So keep yourself in alignment and think that it's going to be worth this work. Stress management is key right now. You can accomplish this if you want to do it. Do what you want, not what your family wants. Many of you are going to take a career in, this is associated with like the law. It can also be writing or changing the world. Like it's a very big mover and shaker card. It's pretty exciting actually. And shining a light on people that maybe marginalized or underrepresented because this is a hidden card. So I'm just kind of like validating that if that's something that you're interested in. You may want to move to go to, like some of you are just deciding to maybe study in a different country or different city, state, or province. By the way, for those of you that are job seeking, that distance component can also be helpful. Okay, basically I love what I see here for students right now. Keep an open mind to things because again, there might be more than one option in front of you and choose the one that feels best if you're looking at college options. Okay, for retirees, rebirth, reinventing yourself, speaking up, pushing back again if people are trying to get you to do it. But I think there's way too many family or social engagements, so you can cut some of those out. I think that you might be doing too much, so you can do a little bit less and focus more on what it is that brings joy to you. This is a traveling card, but it doesn't always involve getting on a plane. It can just be local traveling. I'm seeing you just sort of like enjoying the sights and sounds of where you live. And this is a chance for you to just have some fun. Inner child wants to come out and play. And this is a great time for you to show people just what you have. You know, all these sort of like dreams that you've never had a chance to entertain, now you can do them. A lot of it could be in like writing in a memoir or teaching or public speaking or singing. Some of you might join a choir. You can have a lot of fun this month if you're retired. The main thing here, again, is to push back on all of these things that might be tying down your schedule a little bit. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships. You have a beautiful card that came through. This one popped out of the deck, the forest. And it's sort of like, what is the phrase? You can't see the forest through the trees. I don't know, it's kind of like redundant. But we see this path revealing itself. If you're in the thicket, if you're in the middle of it, it's kind of like what we saw with this. I feel like getting a bird's eye view is really, really important in relationships. Some of you might just feel like it's suffocating, it's overwhelming. So get a bird's eye view of where you're at and realize that maybe it's just really, you've got a lot of support, there's a lot of love around you, but sometimes people can almost overdo it and it becomes that, again, I keep getting that energy of not being able to breathe. So ask for some space if you need it. Let's break this down into 3 major categories. Those in a relationship, looking for love, or happily single. If you're in a relationship, the most important thing is open communication. One partner or possibly both are feeling this frustration of not being fully seen or understood. Also, as relationships get longer in the tooth, they require more work sometimes, and we need to get more into that energy of joy and passion. And of course, stress management is a part of this, but let's not let the stress bubble too much into the relationship. This may be a time where one or both of you may need a third party, whether it's a friend or a therapist, to just kind of like verbalize some of the sort of things that are going on too. Because your partner can't always be your teacher or your therapist. They're your partner. They're there to be with you, but they can't fix everything. So if you need help, ask. If they need help, ask or offer or help them see the way to that. But again, there might be certain points where it's like, I can't fix that for you. And that's okay. You don't have to fix everything. You're there as a partner, not as a doctor, not as a mechanic, and allowing them to go to the right person is going to be key to a happy relationship in the long run. What I love about this, though, is it looks like both of you have visions of one another here in the future. It's just about pushing through this current hurdle and reminding yourself what you've built and why you continue to build this life together. I think a lot of the stress is from the periphery, because these cards are pretty good. Knowing when to fight and when to just sort of like know that it's not worth it, I think is key here as well. So fight the good fights, but don't fight just for the sake of fighting. Children are entering into the picture here. You might be deciding to spend a little bit more time with your children, or you might be deciding to start a family with the Sun card. And maybe there could just be healing that needs to be done with your parent as well. But we see parent-child healing coming through as well. All right, for those of you that are seeking love, I think the main thing here is some of you are just really tired. You're dealing with a lot. So we see stress and sleep issues coming through. I also think that when it comes to your just general environment, are you ready to be seen? Are you also putting yourself in a place where you can be seen? Because that is a card that's kind of hidden. And if someone comes up to you and asks for your number or tries to initiate a conversation, are you truly ready? A little bit of a pulse check and a reality check from Spirit. The energy that's coming through is an air sign, so this could be a Libra, a Gemini, or an Aquarius, and this is also just someone very outspoken. We see an irreverent or playful quality and an immediate chemistry. Whenever we see Sun, Star, or Magician energy, it lights you up. It makes you feel connected. You shouldn't need a reading. You shouldn't have any questions. You'll just feel that sense of, I want to see this person again. They definitely spark your interest, okay? So I get younger and outspoken as the energy, and then air energy as well. So like I said, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. There could be a slight age difference between the two of you. It could also just be a maturity gap with the Emperor and the Sun. Or there could be a child attached to this person as well, if you're ready and willing to allow that to be a part of your life. For those that are single and happy, it's a good time to be so. I feel some of you are putting your energy into education and networking, and I think that's great. And many of you may also be deciding to do a little bit of travel right now. Or you're in a really new phase of your life where you're happy to just sort of explore untethered. So I'm not seeing any major areas of concern, just a lot of areas of growth. Looking at the the two cards associated with destiny, let's see what's coming through. So we have the dead end, and then we have the flame. Oh my gosh, so many cards showing things that are kind of like obscured or blocked. So I feel like the blockage, again, could just be the inability to see past what's around you. So it's really important to remind yourself, just because it's not here now doesn't mean it won't be here tomorrow. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. We weren't able to see all the way out to the edge of the solar system for a while, but that didn't mean that certain objects weren't out there. We didn't know that how many moons were around Jupiter, for instance, but that didn't mean that they weren't there. And we saw here, like if something falls in the forest and no one's there, it still fell. It just doesn't, nobody knows. So this is a discovery month, I think, for many of you. And realizing that we just are at the very tip of the iceberg. So you may see something as a dead end, but in reality, if you look that way or that way or that way, there's something else to be seen. And that's what you're supposed to do. And that's why I believe at the very beginning I was talking about the hermit. The hermit takes the lantern and shines a light on things that are not understood or that need to be revealed. So let me quickly pull up that conversation point that we talked about a little bit earlier. So here we have the two cards. Again, the hermit, I think, is getting ready to shine that lantern. We also saw that in the form of the Seven of Wands here. So this is a really cool month. I think that this could be the spark as well. So you might, when something seems to end, one end is another beginning. So you have to experience this red light or this stop sign in order to see something else. So there you go. I feel like there's going to be inspiration or clarification after something comes to a close or after something is released. Now let's take a deeper dive into sun, rising, and moon sign messages and see what Spirit has to say. Okay, we had two cards that popped out for the first, so we'll accept. That's for sun, rising, and moon. Okay, some pretty exciting stuff. We'll start off first with the sun sign. Two messages here. It's really a chance for you to heal And one of the things that is going to be required for that healing is cutting through some of the old cords and some of the old connections. Give yourself time to rest. That's a part of this because the next card in the progression is Four of Swords, putting those swords to rest and then getting the inspiration because of that. Underneath this card, we have a card of grieving and recalibrating. So the Five of Cups typically has two cups on either side or right to the side where they're not looking, and that represents partnership, love, or opportunity. But the first piece here is letting go. And I feel like that's the hardest part sometimes, is letting go of something. So what we saw here can help you through that. What feels like it's an end is actually a beginning for you. Okay, so give yourself time to grieve, give yourself time to rest, allow yourself to see hidden blessings, and know that those hidden blessings are in fact there. Let's take a look at rising sign messages. Love is coming through, heightened intuition, heightened creativity, compassion for yourself, and it's spreading your wings. So it's a great time to get out there and to have some fun. Like I said, this is a month definitely to spread your wings. You've got to feel it though. The best salesman technique that you can have, or sales technique I should say, is just passionately connecting to what it is that you want to put out into the world. If you feel it, I'll feel it. If you feel it, someone else feels it. If you don't, it's a hard sell. So really get into that place where you're completely aligned with the path and with the vision, and everyone else will follow. There could be a water sign coming into your life, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And again, this could just be a really great month to launch a creative project for you. Moon sign, the world. Again, ends and beginnings, which we got here. So for many of you, it's not a dead end. It's just a turnstile, and it's going to open up this door here that we see. So this could be a month where you're moving on, moving up, or moving out. You could be changing things up. You could be just deciding to experience something brand new. Travel as well, disseminating, publishing, or sharing a message with others. The sky is the limit with the World card. Now let's take a look at one last question. This is your chance to ask Spirit something that you need clarity on. Hold that question in your mind, and let's give the cards a shuffle. Patience, my friend. As a yes or no, it's soon. It's not yet. Part of the reason is it feels like it's important for you to balance your emotions. So the typical temperance angel has two cups, and they're deciding kind of like how they feel. They got 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land. We see this particular bird kind of dealing with two energies here, fire and water, again with needing to let go of something. So temperance in reverse is pushing before you're ready, just like the hanged man reversed. So I feel like you need to have a little bit more patience with something, and then it will align. So don't force it. Don't force the connection. Spirit also speaks in a very subtle way. So one of the ways that you can tune in is, again, through meditation and taking your time. You are guided and you are supported. This is an angelic card. So you have support around you. Believe in it, call on it, and work with it, co-create with it. And that is going to get you to the finish line a lot faster. It's not by rushing. It's by leaning in and surrendering a bit. And that, my friends, is everything. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, do me a favor, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here today. You can also follow me on social media. This is a great way to know when I post new videos, and again, to show some additional support. Remember, I don't offer private readings, and I don't use direct messages for business. So if somebody is reaching out and offering a service or adding you as a friend or anything of that nature, you know it's not me. And you can always get more information on my website if you need to see official handles. And that, my friends, is everything. Thank you so much for your love, your support, your patience this month as well. I appreciate you. Thanks for being the best part of what I do here on YouTube. Take care.